And good morning, everybody. It's Friday. It's one thing I love about Fridays now. I actually look forward to Fridays. Which to me, Fridays have always just been another day of the week, whatever. Half the time, I don't even know what day of the week it is. I have to like look at my watch or whatever. But now I look forward to Fridays because on Fridays we get to talk with Coach Mabry, and I really love that because I get to learn some great stuff. And it's always fun talking to somebody who has the knowledge that you do, Coach. And so I really, really appreciate that you take your time every week to come in here and share some love with the family and teach people things that they can do to stay healthy, and I mean, we need to share this hydrogen-rich water with the world, and the more stories, the more information we can come put out there, the better, And I've got something I'd like to ask you about to see if maybe you might be able to expand upon this, or maybe give a little bit of advice, because I had a gentleman come to the house to purchase a generator from me that I had for sale that I don't need anymore, and he was mentioning problems with his feet and not being able to walk very good. Obviously he's got some sort of circulation issues or something like that, and I'm just kind of curious what kind of protocol or what your advice would be for somebody like that.
Well, it sounds, it's always about a story. And so obviously when you're approaching somebody or they're telling you a story of what they're going through, either medically or mentally, then you listen to what their story is. And then after they're done, you got to kind of reevaluate and see, okay, what is he actually saying and what is actually going on. And it seems that it always boils down to one of the issues that here in the United States we have, and that's chronic dehydration. And so a lot of the issues that are out there is caused by is one of the main causes is actually chronic dehydration, which is causing oxidative stress, which is causing inflammation. And I'm looking at what you were telling me, just a little bit from what you're telling me, that basically, is it due to, is he having issues walking because of the circulation in his legs? Are his ankles swollen and bruised, or is he holding a lot of water in his legs causing the issue? So you kind of have to take hold of what is going on with those legs. Now, of course, the simplest and easiest way to see what is going to help him is obviously get him on this water. And that's when you come up and say, hey man, it sounds to me like your circulation is not too well, and I know how much water do you drink a day? And he's probably going to say, you know what, I drink maybe 2 glasses. I go, well, how big are the glasses? Oh, about 8 or 10 ounces. Or that's kind of, I'm just giving you an idea of what I hear most of the time. Most people, when you ask that question, well, how much water do you drink a day? They're saying a couple glasses. Well, what are you drinking besides that? Well, I drink 3 to 4 cups of coffee, or I have Monster drinks or whatever. And they're thinking that the tea they're drinking or the coffee they're drinking, because it's made with water, is part of their protocol, drinking enough water per day. And I said, well, you know what? Sounds to me like it's obvious you're not drinking enough water, and then you kind of be real simple and say, hey man, your body is 75% water, and obviously you're not drinking enough water. Maybe if you increase your water intake every single day, like, give an example, a gallon or 60 ounces a day, you might see some improvement. I don't know. And he said, well, yeah. I said, well, what kind of what the water you are drinking, what kind are you drinking? Obviously, well, that could be drinking a Dasani or Aquafina. and you kind of give them a little explanation. You know that the one of the top research organizations in the world has found that there's toxic chemicals in bottled water. So, you know, I've changed my water over to hydrogen-rich water that I've been doing for eight years. And you know what? You may want to try it. It's not, I mean, I'll let you try it for a couple of weeks for free. You might see something happen. I have no idea, but it's worth it. I mean, what else do you have to lose? You've got issues. Try the water. It's free. That's pretty much how I would put it there. And then, of course, if he says, "Hey, yeah, that's cool. That sounds great," and I said, "Hey, okay, well, we can let's set up an appointment. Give me your email number, and let's set up an appointment where I can actually drop the water off, and I'll come and test your water, and let's see how your water comes out." Oh, okay, that's cool. So most of the time, people, if they're really looking to whatever issue they have to improve it, they're going to give you the okay to try it. And then obviously the next step is that when you get to the house with the water, you know, this is where a lot of people, I think, mess up, is that they don't give them a written protocol on how to drink the water, and they don't tell them up front, you know, what the possible, there's no side effects to drinking hydrogen-rich water except for the detoxification. That's one of the issues. And so I think what's happening from what I'm hearing out in the field, that a lot of these distributors that are sharing water don't actually give them a protocol on how to drink the water and what may happen, and it needs to be in a written form. And when you're standing there giving them the water, go through it with them right up front, so they totally understand that this water they're drinking and how much they have to drink and how important it is not to have, even though the form shows you can't drink sodas or sports drinks or fizzy drinks, it just won't work. Even though it says that, go over it with them. And then for my form in particular, I have at the bottom of it, I tell them, I says, okay, now that you're going to be trying this water and I'm going to be delivering it to you, or you're going to come to my house, during the process of the 2 weeks, I'm going to send you a few video links that actually explains why you may be feeling what you're feeling when you start drinking the water, or why science is saying we should change the type of water we're drinking to hydrogen-rich water. You tell all this stuff to them right up front.
Yeah.
That way they understand it. That's
a great suggestion right there. You know, that might be something that could really help some people out. So what's the protocol that you give to, you know, that you make your people use if you're going to be taking the time and the energy to bring them water? What do you expect out of them? What's your protocol?
Well, I have a form that I give each and every person. I have a form that I've got a carry kit, and my kit has got all my testing equipment in it, all the different waters. I carry around in my kit too. I have newspapers that explain hydrogen-rich water. I have newspapers that talk about doctors who are now using the water and what they've experienced with their patients. And it's just one of the news, a couple of them one comes from Jerry. I think you guys know he has a newspaper that you can give to people that has information on it. The other one comes from a guy, I forgot his name, doggone it. He does these newspapers also.
Yeah, Jerry Kostica you talking about?
Yeah, he has a newspaper that it's in a newspaper form, kind of unique.
Yeah, I just bought like 500 of those from him or something like that. Those are really sick. Yeah. I love them because right out of the chute, the first thing it talks about is Dr. Shinya.
Yeah. So what you do is on your first drop off, you give them this you give them something, hand them something. Now, if you go into his marketing site, He's got all kinds of different magazines, whatever, but always on your first drop, you want to give them something. And so so I carry this stuff in my bag. But I also carry my protocol form, which explains exactly how to drink the water. Basically, that's what it explains. Exactly, step by step, how to drink the water and what not to drink. And it just in very short it's only a one-page thing. I used to have people sign it after I was done reading it to them. I'd have them sign it. Some of them I do, some of them I don't. The people that I don't know and I've never met, I mean, I'm over there at their house the first time, so I haven't had a chance to know them. I usually have them sign it just so that they know, okay, I explained it to you so you can sign it, and that makes them, that when they read the bottom part, they're agreeing that they're going to take the time to watch those video links. See, I'm very upfront with that. My first drop off is that I explained to them, says, I'm taking the time to do this. I would like you to take the time to watch the short videos that I'm sending you. It's because it's to your benefit. So it's a form that they can put on their counter or put it next to wherever, and they can review it on if they forget what they're supposed to do and drink. And now, of course, the biggest thing is follow up. I think you and I both agree. This is the biggest one. This is huge. It seems like, I talk to I talk to owners that have these machines that aren't in my downline. And I have to tell you, JJ, most of them have say the same thing. No, I haven't heard from the person that I bought the machine from in 6 months, seven months. And the listeners out there, just keep your ears open, because you probably heard the same thing.
Yeah.
Is that during the actual sharing process, man, the follow-up is that's what's going to make it or break it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then even after you're done, I have an email list of all the people that bought devices from me, and I drip on them, with information. I sent one out. I actually saw you make a comment about it, about the World Health Organization and plastic particles in water. It had a picture of the bottled water on Fox News talking about it. So that kind of stuff I'll send to my downline just to keep dripping on them, keep them giving them information about it.
Yeah, speaking of plastic and water, we had Sam Tran in for his monthly visit on Wednesday, and he did this Google search and showed it to everybody. He did a Google search, plastic in rainwater.
Oh yeah.
And they were up in the Rockies somewhere, and they just collected some rainwater. They call it by accident, they just collected some rainwater, and then they went and put it under the microscope, and you could see all the pollutants in there. You could see all the little like dust particles and exhaust particles and things like that. Then you could just see all these strands of crap, and it was all strands of plastic in rainwater.
Well, yeah, but you look at that and you think, how can you go up to in my area, you go up to Mammoth Mountain, up to the streams in the mountains where the snow's coming off the mountains, and you're thinking, well, I could drink the water right out of the streams because it's clean as a whistle. But if you Google filters or camping or hiking, why are there so many devices out there now that you can carry in your backpack when you're hiking up in the mountains that you use to filter the water first before you drink it? Well, there's a reason for that. Because the rivers or the streams are contaminated, because that's how, and that's, that falls back to what I keep saying in the last 3 weeks. I keep talking about we're never going to get away from the environmental toxins, because even our streams that you think are clean, well, what about the environmental toxins that are coming from those planes, those exhausts from the planes and things? Or what about, I mean, people don't realize that, okay, I go to a store, I go to a local farmer's market, and I'm going to a stand that says certified organic food, and everything's clean, and they're thinking that, okay, all this food that I'm buying that's organic, that's double the price, is all clean from contaminants because it's certified. It says organic. But they don't realize that's not true. It's not true, because fallout. I mean, you could have an organic field 20 or 30 miles away from another farm that's using pesticides and herbicides, and when they spray it, that's why if you go during August, late August, when you're going to a winery and you're driving at night at 9 or 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and you see all these tractors out there with lights on them in the middle of the night, they're spraying their fields, because that's when supposedly the wind isn't, so it doesn't transfer the pesticides to other areas. Well, that's because of the wind. So that wind carries those particles for miles and miles and miles, and that's why that's why I keep telling people that my family has a better chance to survive in this toxic world. Because why? Because we're drinking water that is structured in a way that's able to detox the body with every glass we drink. And so we're not storing up those contaminants in our cells. And the cell and the mitochondria, man, this is huge now. And this is why Dr. Otto Warburg won the Nobel Prize for his research on the mitochondria, and how a dysfunctional mitochondria is related to so many degenerative diseases. Now, you got to really read his story. You got to really read the research. It's a lot of distributors are mixing up or saying things that aren't true. You got to be real careful with that. But the issue is, it's all about the mitochondria. And that mitochondria is related to everything in the body. And I mean,
that's interesting bringing that up, Coach, because you see it all the time. I think I see it almost daily.
Yeah,
posted out there on Facebook how Dr. Warburg said that a disease cannot exist in an alkaline environment, and my thought process from what I've learned is that depends on how that alkaline environment is created. Because if that environment is created through chemicals like sodium bicarbonate and calcium bicarbonate and magnesium bicarbonate and whatever other crap they're putting in this water to make it alkaline, if you're drinking that kind of alkaline water and you're alkalining your body that way, like Dr. Michael says, if you're putting baking soda in your water, sure, it makes it nice and purple and it's alkaline, but hey, it's going to give you osteoporosis. And because it can't absorb that, it can't utilize that sodium bicarbonate, and so it steals the corresponding amount from your bones, and so therefore it's stealing the calcium from your bones, the sodium from your bones, whatever. And what do you have to say about that concept? And as far as the alkalining of the body through chemicals.
Well, you made a good point, and that's the thing. That's why you have to be careful when you're talking about Dr. Otto Warburg about the body, as far as the body being, diseases cannot survive in an alkaline environment, which is true. It can't, but it's not the alkalinity of the water; it's the hydrogen H2. That's what's going to that's what's going to be the tool that the body is able to fight off the degenerative diseases. And so the point you made is great. Not all alkaline water is the same. So you're right. You know, you have to tell the whole story. And so, and that's why in my demos, I now use, you can go to my YouTube channel and find the video that I did as far as not all alkaline water is the same. I did a demo where I've taken one of the most popular health food alkaline waters on the shelves, and I put it in a glass, and then I took our 9.5, also put it in a glass, and I put the drops of the red drops in both, and obviously the alkaline water that I bought from the health food store turned just as dark purple as our 9.5. And then I explained to people, and then I'll put 2 straws in my mouth, and I'll put 2 straws in the cup. And at the exact same time, I'll blow free radicals into both of them. And I want to show the audience why the two are different.
Because the stuff that's created with chemicals, it ends up turning all piss yellow pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And the Kong's water, it keeps its color for quite a while. You got to keep blowing for quite a while to get Kong to turn
exactly. Yeah, so that kind of gives them a visual of why you and I both are saying not all alkaline waters are the same. One is therapeutic, one is acidic, and it's a pretty simple one. You don't need to. I mean, I get so excited about the science of different things, I talk too much. But in these last few years, I've learned that you really don't need to say a whole lot about the science. Just show them the visuals.
Yeah.
Because it just goes over their heads. But that's just another way. And then and the other thing is, I mean, JJ, how many times? I mean, how often are you hearing about young people, I also have to say mid-age dementia? I'm hearing this all the time now.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's really, and Dr. Allen, you know, she's been researching molecular hydrogen H2 for years. And she uses the molecular hydrogen H2 or hydrogen-rich water in her practice at all her clinics because she's found the results. Now, how much better science can you get with a doctor who has actually been researching it in her own clinics with people that have brain trauma? I mean, how can you not say, well, it must work? Because she did her own research on it.
Yeah. You know, you have a lot of information about Dr. Warburg. I know because quite frankly, I haven't read any of his stuff. I've just seen the quotes and that kind of thing. I'm always reading one book or another. I just got finished with Killing Cancer, Not People. What an amazing book that was. I'm reading the You're Not Sick, You're Thirsty by Dr. Batman. But when you look at the research that Dr. Warburg did, what kind of alkaline, you know, how was he alkaline, you know, was he using hydrogen-rich water in his experiments or whatever? How was he alkalining his tests?
What he was investigating, one of the things that he was investigating was obviously the root cause of cancer. That's what he was trying to find out. Okay. And what he was investigating is how, like I said, you got to really read the whole thing to get it. And I'm going to make it just kind of simple here. But what he was looking at was the mitochondria. That's what he was looking at, because that seems to be connected from all the research that I've been doing on this mitochondria. That seems to be the connection between a lot of the degenerative diseases. And now you have I'm not going to get into the cellular biology and everything, but you have your cell, and inside the cell, you got all these mitochondria, which is your power plant. That's where your energy is coming from. Okay. Right. But what the issue is there's contaminants and environmental contaminants that causes the mitochondria to become dysfunctional. And what Dr. Warburg found out was a mitochondria that is oxygen deficient causes it to malfunction, and that seems to be the issue right there. Now, we all know that that while you're asleep, that's when your body is doing what? It's repairing itself, right? And that's when, okay, and so why is it so important that we consistently tell people, and that my protocol that I have on how to drink the water, one of the first thing it says is the first thing when you wake up in the morning, you've got to have a glass of water. Okay, now there's a huge reason for that. And the reason is that during the night when your body is healing itself, then it's producing, it's producing the new cells to repair whatever issues you've done that day. Well, where does the old cells go? And if you don't have water that is able to detoxify you with every glass and able to flush, it's not structured in a way to where it's able to flush out the oxidant or the free radicals or contaminants or old cells, old brain cells and old protein and all that stuff, then where's that stuff going to? Well, it stays in the body. And that's
a great question. Where does it go?
It stays in the body. It stays in your organs. It stays in your cells. And so the byproduct of dead cells or that old protein that's floating around in the brain that's causing they're now saying maybe causing the issue with dementia because it's the old crap, is causing the body to be acidic. That's the problem. So that's why we say you need to start your day off by drinking a big old glass of 9.5 and help the body to flush out the metabolic waste. That's what it's called. It's called metabolic waste. Well, and so that flushes all that crap out, and now you have your good cells. Well, what they're learning now is the mitochondria does the same thing as a cell. It dies and rejuvenate. It dies and it gets born. So if the mitochondria, which is the power plant of the whole body, and which Dr. Orberg found out that a deprived or a dysfunctional mitochondria is oxygen deficient, then what happens is if you're not doing the right protocols or drinking the water or eating the right foods, then you're going to have dysfunctional mitochondria that's going to continually be dysfunctional like cancer cells. What do cancer cells do? They keep growing. They keep producing more cancer cells, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the mitochondria in all those cells is the same thing. They die off too. But if you're taking, and this is where we try to explain to people, you don't even know. Okay, how many times, JJ, have you heard this? And when you're sharing the water, okay. So for me, honestly, I think you need to give a person 30 days. A lot of people do two weeks. A lot of chronic sick people will feel something in their first 2 weeks because they're so chronically sick and they're so dehydrated. But I think 30 days of consistent education and following up a person needs, because it takes time for that mitochondria to start getting healthier, because like I said, it dies off, but then as you're flushing out the contaminants on a daily basis, then the mitochondria starts to get healthier, so it's going to produce what? More healthy mitochondria. And it takes time for that. It doesn't happen overnight. Well, when somebody says, this is the hard part, because people, you want to explain the science behind what we're doing, but they don't even understand it, and they won't. but the thing is that that's why we have to explain to people it takes, you know, if you don't feel anything right now, if you don't feel the benefits like you've heard other people feel, then it's not because it's not doing anything, but you have no idea what hydrogen H2 is doing on the inside. Even though you don't feel it on the outside, you don't have any idea what's going on the inside. And so it takes time. I mean, it takes time. Some people feel it faster than others. The people that feel it faster than do not feel it faster than others is because they're pretty acidic.
Yeah.
And so the body's trying to fix what's ever on the inside first. And that's why I think 30 days of trial it obviously takes longer than that because, you know, people have been chronically dehydrated and have been in an acidic environment for decades. So obviously it's going to take them time, but at least they're seeing something going on. Because as the mitochondria, you know, the biggest issue out there is people says, oh, my energy level's horrible. By 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I feel like laying my head down on the desk and falling asleep, and on and on and on. Well, like I said, the mitochondria is your power plant. And it takes time to actually build that up. But going back to the water, to hydrogen-rich water, how does this make sense? You know, you're drinking bottled water that is known by science, that they've done documentary on how contaminated it is in your body, and your body is 75% water, and your brain is about 80%, and your blood's 95%, and you keep putting in all that toxic chemicals. How does that make sense? How do you expect your body to have energy by 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon when you're building up so much toxicity?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, that's interesting that you talk about that. I've got some really dear friends of mine, a couple of my very best friends, and we recently got, my wife invested in another machine and in an S-Spa. She had some money. She decided she wanted to put it to work. And so we bought a K8 so that we could have a loaner machine. And one of my very dear friends that I've known for 20 years, we took the machine down, and they've been using it now for about 40 days. Because it was supposed to be a 30-day thing, and then at the end of 30 days, they wanted to keep trying it a little longer because, you know, I made the mistake of not following up with them enough. I was thinking I shouldn't bother them. I gave them information. And I think I love what you're talking about, how you constantly follow up with them during the trial period. You know, it seems to me it'd be a great idea because we're going to be going tonight to pick up the machine, and then I'm going to go put it into my knee doctor wants to use it because he's got sleep apnea issues, and he's on one of those sleep app machines or CPAP machines or whatever the heck they call them. And but I think I made a really big mistake in not like dripping on her during the whole time. I should have been literally sending her articles, sending her short things, because she's a lawyer, she's really busy, but you know, I got to put that on myself. But they're not interested in buying a machine because they didn't feel any results. You know, they didn't feel, and I'm figuring that if they've actually been drinking the water like they should during this whole 40-day period, that once they go back to regular water, that's when they're going to feel the difference, is what I'm guessing. This is the first time I've ever, you know, we just got our machine, our loaner, and so we got a SD501 that we're loaning out. And I'm only loaning it out to really good friends, people that are serious, that, you know, that I know and trust. I'm not just going to go let any old hoo-ha person use my $4,000 machine, you know. But yeah, they're like, well, maybe not, whatever, down the line we'll keep learning, keep watching your posts and things like that. But the 30-day trial didn't actually pan out the way I was hoping it would. but I still feel like it's just a matter of time before they're going to change their mindset. But
Yeah, and that's true, and that's where I think those of us that have been doing this for a while have gotten a little harder, because our time is relevant. I mean, our time is important, and that's where we have to follow up with them and actually come out and say to them, did you watch the last video that I sent you? They say no. Then you just explain to them. It says, well, you know what? I send these videos out to you. People appreciate you being honest and upfront. They really do. They really appreciate that. I've only had maybe one or two in my whole 9 years now that maybe I had that maybe just didn't care. But anyway, most of them appreciate it. So if you're upfront and honest right at the very beginning, don't wait till the middle, don't wait till the end. At the very front, explain to them why you are sending them these videos, because you want them to see the value of the device before they come with a comment saying, well, I really didn't feel anything. See, so you want to, and then, like I tell, I go, some people feel it right away, some people don't. But you know what? Because of the therapeutic ability of this water, and because of science, not me, I mean science, because the information you're sending to them is obviously science, is showing that even though you may not feel something these first 2 weeks, it is doing something to the inside of the body. And besides, how does this make sense? You saw my demo. I don't share any water to anybody unless they see a live demo or I show them the 9.5.com. None of them. And then when they watch it, I ask them, did you see value in it? Do you understand? And if they say yes, then let's go to the next step. Get that out of the way. Get them to understand it first. And you're right about that. Some people, you're going to have those that are thinking more of their wallet. People here in the United States, I mean, Asia and the European countries, their health is at the top of the to-do list. Here in the United States, it's the opposite. That's I've had people say, well, how come the people in Asia are they're building their businesses so fast, or how come the people in Europe, their businesses are growing so fast? Well, it's pretty obvious, because they are concerned about their health. Here in the United States, we don't care. Most of the public does not care. So that portion of their to-do list, health, is at the very bottom.
Right, they don't care about it until they lose it.
No, and the toys are up on top, and that's what we have to deal with. That's what we're dealing with, and that's what we just that's just part of living here in the United States. And so even though we're promoting health, that we're promoting it, you just have to realize that you're dealing with people that are more materialistic than they're not worried about their health. And it's because of just because of all the advertising on TV and all this, all these people that are going out there saying, okay, if you do, I've got a big, beautiful house, I got a big, beautiful car, all that stuff. You know how that crap goes.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Because most people, you say people are really materialistic, and it's absolutely 1,000% true. But they don't care about the most important material of all.
Yeah.
This thing right here, this is the most important material, and they don't care about that until it's gone, until they lose it. And then once they lose it, then it's kind of unfortunate. They want to take off and go to the doctor and get a pill.
Right. Yeah.
Instead of changing their life, they want to get a pill. And, it really is I've told people before, Coach, that this is the most difficult thing I have ever done in my life, this business. It really is. And I've been trying one thing after another from the age of 19 years old. And, now I'm 54 years young, and I have never experienced anything as difficult as this company. And the reason it's difficult is because it's just so hard, knowing that you have something that is so dang important for people, especially the people you really love. And they won't look, they won't listen, they won't pay attention. And it is so hard on your heart. It is, it hurts. Do you have the same problem as I do in this regard?
Well, you know what? That's a very, very good point, JJ. You brought up a very good point, because if you're into Enagic as a supplement income, or if you're looking to become full-time in it, how many times have you heard yourself when you've gone to these trainings, the Enagic trainings, and I'm going to be very honest here, okay? Because I think the newer distributors that are getting involved in this, they need to know this, but I'm going to be very honest here. I don't go to very many trainings anymore, because I just don't, and I don't like the rah crap. I'm not there for, I don't want that stuff, because it's a bad way of trying to build your business up, is this rah thing, and telling everybody, oh yeah. Now, how many times, JJ, have you heard this? Enagic is probably the easiest business to get into and make a ton of money. When I first got him, that's all I heard. That's all I heard. In actuality, you're right. This is going to be the hardest business that you're going to start. But that's normal, because every successful business, and those of you that have had successful businesses, you guys know this. Every successful business takes time. Yeah. And that growing pain, like you said, you got to give yourself 5 to 7 years of doing this consistently. If you're getting involved in this and you have a full-time job, do not quit your job. You got to build it, because it's going to take time to build up a downline, and you're going to get very few people here in the United States that is actually going to understand what we're trying to do. But when somebody like Shan Stratton or Wade Lightheart or Dr. Allen or Dr. Carpenter, all these, if they're at a training, I will go to those. Or if somebody, there's a few top distributors right now, uplines, that will actually do a training on how to build or successfully build a business in Enagic, and they're not going to boast about how much money they are making. There's actually a few of them out there, and I think some of you know who they are, because those are the ones that are actually paying it back. Those are the ones that are building churches. Those are the ones that are helping communities with the money they're making off of Enagic. But they're not boasting about what they own. Now, of course, they might be standing in front of their nice, big, beautiful homes, but that's okay, because they deserve it. But they're not boasting about it. They're paying it forward. And those are the guys that I will go watch.
Right. Yeah. I'm curious, were you at the San Diego convention?
No.
I was going to say, gosh, I hope you weren't there, because I didn't get to see you, because we went down there for that. All the stuff came in alignment, and I was able to actually go to that. And it was, it was exactly what you're talking about. Most of it was a bunch of raw, and quite frankly, I'm not interested in the raw either. I want info. I want documentation. I want things that are going to help me, influence other people to realize how important this is in their life, you know.
Well,
And so, yeah, it is tough to go to those things. And some of them, you know, it's like next year they're doing it in Las Vegas, and Vegas is only 5 hour drive for me, and I got a really good friend who lives there, so I can go there and stay for free. And I could, you know, he bought a K8 from me, and you know, he might even be going too, but I'm not sure. I don't know whether I'm going to do it or not. I think maybe I'll be doing it just so I can go see people, so I can go get to meet all my family members who I just love so much. And I see them on here all the time, but I don't get to actually give them a real hug, you know?
yeah.
And,
I'm going to do the same thing, JJ. Emily and I will probably both go to the Las Vegas one. One thing I do notice, in that if you when O'Shea gets up on stage, he always talks about what first? What's the first thing he always talks about?
the water.
The water and the health. That's
Yep.
the first thing he talks about, and he talks more about that than anything else. That is what we need to stay on. Is what he talks about. The thing is, I think they've gotten away from what O'Shea is trying to do, and it's always going to be the health factor of hydrogen H2. It's always going to be that. So, and it seems like he's preaching that. That's all he preaches about. Really, if you really think about it, it's about the health factors of the water itself. But you're right. I would like, if God willing, I would love to go to Vegas and I see people that I've got messages from, or I've talked to before in the past, so I haven't seen in a while. I haven't been to one. I probably haven't been to a training in probably 2 years, maybe 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
I haven't been to one yet. I've got San Diego. I've got Fountain Valley. We can take people to. That's another thing too, is here in the Riverside County area, we really don't have anything. Emily and I did every 2 weeks for 3 years, we did demonstration at a medical center for the people here in the Riverside County. We did that for 3 years.
How did you get into something like that? How were you able to actually get yourself in there to be able to do that?
Because I spent the money to rent the conference room.
Oh, okay.
That's what I did. And then, it's I don't know if it's the draw of the card or whatever it is. People, if a lot of the new distributors get frustrated because of, they're looking at somebody who started at the exact same time as they did, and they're going up the ranks very fast, and they're not, and they're wondering, well, what am I doing wrong? I'm doing everything that they're telling me to do. I'm following the criteria. I'm going to these training classes that I've got a book from my upline that tells me exactly what to do, but that person that started at the same time I am is way up there. Now he's gone full time because he's making so much money, but yet I'm struggling. That's just the nature of the business. That's the way it is. That person, you can't see the person. The thing is, you got to block that out of your brain. Do not compare yourself with somebody else, because that other person might have already had contacts in the beginning when they first started. Who knows? Or that person may have gotten somebody who saw the value in it that had contacts that they could go. You got to be careful. I mean, that's where our training in the business side of it is, that our trainers need to explain to people, do not compare yourself, because that person might have found somebody and you haven't. And this could go on for 2 or 3 years.
I love that. Because that's one of the things I love, because ultimately for me, Coach, the main reason that I'm involved with this company is because of my mother. She passed away 29 years ago, and She was taking 22 different medications. She had more body parts cut out. You know, she was, I'll never forget the scars on her body when I would see her naked, and just all of the scars that she had all over her body. She had just, you know, cut this out, cut that out, one surgery after another, after another, after another throughout her life. She only had a 6th grade education because she could never stay healthy enough to get through a school year. And it's really fascinating to me that I'm the last of 12 kids, and I'm actually probably the healthiest person in my whole family. And I think that's just absolutely crazy. You know, when I was born, I had to have all my blood transfused. I was a twin. My twin sister died after 26 hours. We would have been JJ and GG surprise if she would have lived. And my life would be a heck of a lot different, I believe, if she would have lived, because I would have had a little sister. But, you know, the point is I had to have my blood transfused. And sometimes I look back at that and, you know, when I'm dealing with my family, because all of my family thinks I'm just a nutcase scam artist, MLM, you know, snake oil salesman, and they won't even look at anything. And that's another part that's so difficult, so hard on your heart, because we know for a fact that what we're doing is the right thing, and it is a great thing for people. And so it's very difficult. And I know for a fact that the most important thing, I'm telling people all the time, the most important thing in this world is your health. You know, look at Steve Jobs. You know, what good does all the money in the world make if you don't have your health? What good is it? But on the other hand, when you're out there talking to people, and you know, one of the questions I always ask new guests that come on the show, my favorite question to ask them is you've got one thing to say to people. You got like 30 seconds, maybe a minute at most. And you ran into somebody at the grocery store or something like that. You got one short little tidbit of time. What's the one thing that's most important that you're going to talk to them about? And a lot of those people, their response to that is, well, somehow I got to figure out what they're interested in before I go talking to them about what I'm going to talk to them about. And the kind of fine line that we're trying to tread in this business is like, if you're talking to somebody who doesn't give a rat about their health, but they want to make all the money on the planet, and you're talking to them about health when they're interested in business, you're literally barking up the wrong tree, or vice versa. If they're interested in health and you're talking to them about business, you're barking up the wrong tree. You need to be talking to them about health, or whatever they're interested in. And so it is quite the challenge to figure that out. And I'm finally coming to grips with the fact that I need to become a much better question asker and a much better listener. Find out what they want.
Well,
I can hit them from the right angle, because, well, you know as well as I do, Coach, that people are, well, most people, I would imagine, that are in a NAGIC, they begin to care about their health when they become involved with the NAGIC. If they get involved for the business and then they start learning what this is all about, then all of a sudden drinking the water becomes more important to them. Their health becomes more important to them. But maybe not, considering some of these fat people I see that are making grundles of money, and they're not a product of the product, and they don't set a good example in that department, but they're still being incredibly successful.
Well, that's where we go back to it. They have, you know, they either started early in a NAGIC when they first popped up here in the United States, or they might have, I mean, most of those guys, I tell you, most of them already had a platform before they even started. Most of them already had a platform going, and that's where a lot of people need to understand that why they're successful. And when they boast about, I reached 6A in 2 months, I reached 6A, because most of them already had a platform set. But I'll tell you what, from the uplines, some of the top successful uplines out there, most of them have the stories that we have, that they actually got started in this all because of the help, not the business, the help. Yeah. And I'm talking some of the very, very top guys. But you do have those that already are experienced. Most of the new distributors are not experienced in building a direct sales like what we're building here. I'm trying to find a word that's not so, I don't like using an MLM. Most of those top guys that are in the business of making money were top guys in businesses in MLMs in the past.
Yeah.
They're already there. So that's where we need to be very careful, because the new distributor, if this guy is saying, well, yeah, I became a 6A in 2 months, and I'm a 6A2 in 3 months and 4 months, and then don't tell the whole story, then the new person is going to listen to that and go, well, what am I doing wrong then? Well, the truth is that, you know what, I already had a platform. I've been involved in MLM for over 20 years. I already know how to do all this. That's the true story. But this is a business. This is a real business. It's not an ML. It's not one of those MLMs out there that will fall apart in 6 months, a year, or 2 or 3 years. It's not one of those. This is real because of the science behind it. Now, what other type of business can you get into where there's new scientific research coming up all the time about your product? There isn't one out there, period. There isn't one. So here you have a business that you're involved in that's new research is coming up all the time. And if you stick with it and go through the roadblocks or go through the bumps, and if you get, every time you get your legs get cut out from underneath you, you get right back up again and get started. I mean, my wife, there's been many, many, many times I wanted to quit. Many times, because I got frustrated. My wife kept saying, well, you can't quit. This is our income. This is part of our income. So I kept getting up. And that's how we have to, with this business, we got to do that, because with all this new research coming out, there's some of you guys, I'm not going to mention his name because some of you guys might know him, but there's a scientist out there, young. He looks young, but he's not. He's aged, but he's side by side with Japan in the research of hydrogen-rich water, and he's actually doing. Some people say, "Oh no, he's against us." No, he's not. He's actually doing stuff for us that's going to help us in the future. They're discovering. They just discovered in 2019. There's a research that just came out recently that shows that one of the root causes to obesity and to type 2 diabetes, they now have research showing how they can reverse fatty liver with hydrogen H2. Yeah. It's a pilot study. So like I said, you just have to stick to it and don't quit, because eventually I don't know if I should say it will get easier, but eventually more and more people will see the advantage of changing the type of water. Now, right here in the United States, I think the biggest issue we have is doctors. That's the problem. There's not enough doctors out there that understand the physiology of the water and how it all works. Because I'm sure you and everybody else have gotten clients come back and say, "Oh, my doctor said this is a bunch of BS." And I'm sure that's happened to a lot of you out there.
Yeah.
And that's why it makes it so hard for us here in the United States, is because your doctor is not educated. If he may have a little bit, but he doesn't in nutrition, and he has no education, or has very little, or doesn't even want to know, or doesn't have the time to research when it comes to molecular hydrogen. They don't know. I mean, you know, I don't know how many I've talked to. I mean, even the nurses, when you tell them, I says, well, what do you do? What do you know about molecular hydrogen? What's that? So here you're trying to share the water and explain the therapeutic effects of molecular hydrogen H2, and you're dealing with a person that is consulting with a doctor who has no education on that at all. So people are going to listen to their doctor before they listen to us, because we don't have that PhD, or we don't have that certificate that they got, and that certificate means squat. That means squat. I mean, to me, a person who has a lot of decades of experience under his belt and has worked with multiple patients over and over and over again, he's the one you need to be following, because he's got the actual under the belt experience. He is actually the one who has been working in real life.
Yeah.
That's not a guy that sits behind a computer that spent 8 years in schools that are basically teaching them how to prescribe drugs, because that's what the schools do. I mean, the new doctors that are coming out, they're being educated on how to prescribe drugs. And how many of you have gone to your doctor and sat in front of their computer, and they're asking you, okay, what are your symptoms? And they're putting it into a computer, and the computer pops up, so okay, try this drug. I mean, that's life. That's how it is today.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about drugs. And, you know, it's kind of funny too. You know, I'm sure you're aware of Sam Tran, and you probably friended up with him. You know, if you're not, you definitely want to be, because he's a cancer research guy, you know, and who died, came back to life. And he put out a post about one of the big, I think there's a couple of different pharmaceutical executives who came out and said, we're not interested in, I mean, literally, they came right out in public and said, we're not interested in curing people or making people healthy. We're here for the profits of our shareholders.
That's true. Yeah.
They come right out and say it right out in public, right out on, and people will still watch a commercial that says anal bleeding is one of the side effects, and then they'll call their doctor and say, is this right for me?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, gosh, I'd imagine that kind of stuff just boggles your mind just as much as it does mine, right?
Well, yeah, and when you actually, and what's really hard to comprehend, and what's really hard, what is frustrating, here you have the University of California, one of the top medical research universities in the world, who came out and said they have scientific research showing that doing a 72-hour fasting, prolonged fasting, actually regenerates new stem cells and puts you into a state of autophagy, which is the body's autophagy means self-eating, and this is where we're coming into the effect of dementia and Alzheimer's, is because they're saying that now they're trying to relate, or they're showing that the old crappy cells and the old crappy proteins that you've been eating that are floating around in the brain could possibly be what's causing dementia. Okay, so why is it that the hydrogen-rich water and being in ketosis, therapeutic ketosis, or autophagy, which means you're producing ketones, why are they showing now in research? I'm putting together right now a blog, and that blog I'm putting together is for people that are 50 plus. And in that blog, I'm putting in little 4 or 5 steps that you need to take if you're looking to help with dementia or Alzheimer's or any kind of brain trauma or any kind of help. Okay, and why these 3 protocols that we are using are so powerful. Well, everybody, I mean, those of us that are educated in hydrogen-rich water, we know that the hydrogen H2 is the smallest molecule in existence, and this is what Dr. Allen talks about all the time, is it can penetrate the blood-brain barrier and get right into the blood, get right in the brain. So why was it when my wife first drank this water, first glass of water she ever had, she guzzled this water down. And within seconds, she became dizzy, like she was drunk. Why did that happen? Well, because the molecule, hydrogen H2, is so small, it's able to penetrate the blood-brain barrier and hydrate the brain so fast. And the ketones that are produced by changing your diet also can do the same thing. And the brain, and ketones, according to science, is brain food.
Yeah.
That's brain, brain food. Now here you have the University of California, top medical research centers showing the benefits, but yet doctors don't know about that. They have no idea. You have Dr. Thomas Seifeld out of Boston College. He is now doing seminars, and he is showing his own research on his own patients that have brain tumors. And he is showing them on MRIs how, okay, you put them on a high-fat diet, look what happens to the tumors. And he did his own research, and what he found out that what is the main source of food for cancer? Sugar. Yeah. Okay, what if you have cancer and you're on a high carb diet, or you're eating a lot of carbs? What do carbs turn to in the body? They convert into glucose. What's glucose? Sugar. Okay, so if you put your body in a very, very low carbohydrate intake, and I mean it has to be below 20 and less if you have cancer. Okay, well, Dr. Thomas Seifeld, not me, Dr. Thomas Seifeld, saying you do this, you've just cut the head off the snake, because cancer cannot feed off fat.
Yeah,
cancer cells.
I love that, and I gotta apologize to everybody out there and you, Coach, because I kind of sidetracked this whole thing right from the start. But I know that you are very, very knowledgeable in regards to weight loss and helping people safely, effectively lose weight, and you're a product of that, of what you do. And so, in my opinion, you're one of the most powerful people that could come in here and talk on this, because you do your research, you utilize what you're talking about. You're not just one of those people that says, do what I do, or do what I say, but not what I do, and that kind of thing. And so next week when we come in here and talk again, I would really like to just shut my little trap, zip my mouth, and let you talk about what you do, because I really want on these Fridays, because this is an area that we really need to focus on, because it's so dang important, and we have so many fat, unhealthy people running around out there. We got to help them. And so I think that, like today's water sharing information and that kind of stuff, this has all been a really valuable show, as it always is when you come in here, but I got to make a commitment to not sidetrack anything next week. And I want to get into your protocols. I want to start really focusing on your protocols, and maybe you can like determine, okay, so every Friday we're going to come in here for a half an hour to 45 minutes or so, and we're going to focus on one piece of the protocol at a time every Friday, so that we can really give something to people that they can utilize so they can start changing their lives, and so that they can reach out to you, get your coaching, pay for your coaching, whatever it is they need to do so that they can start losing that belly fat, losing that body fat, eliminating their problems with potential dementia and the freaking myriads of diseases that people are suffering from out there. Because ultimately, we want to help people with their health, right?
Yeah, and all three protocols, we've talked about that in the past. But I think what we'll do, JJ, is let's start with a topic because this particular topic will explain a lot. It's called fat adaptation. What does that mean?
Fat adaptation. Let's call
Fat adaptation. What does that mean? And why are so many people jumping on the bandwagon when it comes to going on a primal eating lifestyle, or what most of you guys know as a ketogenic diet? And fat adaptation is a huge part of losing weight.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of friends on Facebook that are doing the ketogenic diet, but they're not including hydrogen-rich water into that diet. They think, and I'd love to have you expand, maybe think about this, because next week when I put out the information about, Friday's show, and I'm going to talk, it's going to be fat adaptation with Coach Mabry. And, there's a lot of people out there who are doing these keto diets without hydrogen-rich water, and they're having a degree of success with it and feeling better from it. And I know, and I'm sure you know even better, that if they add hydrogen-rich water to it, it's going to explode it, make it even way, 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 way better. And so how do we kind of help them understand that? And I'm betting that there's probably nobody better than you to help those people understand how this water can exponentially improve what they're doing with their keto diets that they're eating right now. Well, and I would love to have something like that, just because I know there's a lot of people out there that are going that route, but they're missing the key component.
Yeah, and that's the icing on the cake, because here in the United States, we are looking for a quick fix way of losing weight. That's what we're looking for. Well, the object is we want a long term. So, here you have two old bodies like Emily and I, who've been doing this for a few years now. I have never been in the shape I'm in now, even when I was going on stage. I've never kept my body fat as low as it is now, and I'm still improving. I'm still a product of work. I got goals, but we both at our age, old age, are still able to lose that belly fat, because that's the thing, JJ. Everybody's past 40 is wondering, well, how come I can't get rid of this belly fat? Well, because you're not fat adapted. That's why. Oh man, what do you mean? Well, and then you have all these people out there, like you said, on Facebook. They're all jumping on the bandwagon of a ketogenic diet. Problem is, they don't really understand the protocols. And at first, it's like any diet. When you're overweight, the Western diet, the Mediterranean diet, the paleo diet, whatever, eating every 2-hour diet, whatever, or the juice diet, whatever. Yes, you are going to get results at first. You are. But guess what? You can sabotage those results very easily. And then all of a sudden, what happens? Well, 3-4 months down the line, you plateau. You're not doing anything different, but you plateau. And you're wondering, well, what the heck? Well, the body's not stupid. It's not stupid. So I don't, every time I hear somebody says, oh, or I hear a health coach tell me, well, you know what? I have a client that did the ketogenic diet, or like you like to call the primal eating, or I have a client that did the intermittent fasting and it didn't work. It didn't work for him. Well, I'll tell them up front, you know why it didn't work? Because they don't know how to do it. Because you can't deny science. That's just it. You can't deny it.
Right.
And it's not about short term. This is not get that out of your brain. Not about short term. It's about long term. It's about putting your body in a very healthy environment. And the byproduct of doing that is always going to be, you're going to lose that belly fat. People don't understand the root cause of that belly fat, and they're sabotaging it even though they're on a ketogenic diet. And next week, this will be your catcher. I will tell the audience the secret to why they are gaining belly fat, or why it's so hard to get the belly fat off. There is something that most health professionals do not know about. And you have, and I've been researching this for a few years now, and I'm even doing research on my own body, and it makes all the sense in the world, and I even got science to back it up.
Yeah, I love that. I'm looking forward to next Friday again, Coach. You know, I just got to tell you, I love you so much. I appreciate everything that you're doing, and you know, you being willing to come in here once a week is just absolutely phenomenal, and it's going to help change a lot of people's lives as we get this information out. And you know, so last week's show, I got to apologize. I got crazy busy and didn't end up had some issues with getting the recording up. So I'm going to put both of those recordings, both last Saturday's show or last Friday's show and this Friday's show, up together today. And I promise I'll get those up there and make sure that they get up every time. So yeah, this is great stuff. I'm really excited to get this information out to people, to show how they can do this. And you know, hopefully people are going to want to, you know, come and join your system and do what you're doing and learn. You know, if they've got an issue and they really want to solve it, they probably should be learning what you're doing.
Yeah,
you're such a great example to people that it's wonderful. You know, there's not a lot of people like you in the Enagic company. And so it's really, really neat to have you doing what you're doing. And I'm grateful and thankful that you're doing it, and just happy to be able to be part of it and help share it. And ultimately, we're the Kong family. We want to change the world. And that's how we're going to do it, by changing one life, one family. You know, every time we change one family, that's a world changed. And they're going to go out and change somebody else's family, and that's another world changed. And so that's my thought process on the whole equation. And I'm just looking forward to continuing this, because this is a long-term project that we're both involved with, and we're both in love with, and both passionate about. And, you know, we need to get that out there to everybody. Keep sharing this stuff with the world so we can change it.
Well, this is how we do it, by doing what you're doing here. So what you could do, JJ, when you post these videos or whatever comment you want to make, just put on there that next Friday we will release one of the main root causes of why you are putting on belly fat or hip fat, or why it's so hard for you to use that belly fat. And we will give them the insight of the root cause to that. This is probably why most people fail when they end up doing a ketogenic diet or intermittent fasting. So
I love that idea, because we both know that there's a lot of people out there that need this. They need it big time. Yeah. And if they don't even know about it, how are they going to get it?
That's right.
So let's I'm excited to be able to continue to do this every week. I want to try and focus from now on what your protocols are and how people can utilize them, how they can get them into their lives. And so, yeah, thanks again, buddy. I really appreciate it. And make it a great rest of the day and have a great weekend with your sweetie. And, I'm gonna get out there and get after it just the same way. Every day is just another day for me, but
That's
I
true.
love you so much, Coach. I appreciate everything you're doing, buddy, and look forward to seeing you again next Friday. And I will have these things up, and I will do some promoting there for what we're going to do next Friday. And that's a great idea. When I post these videos, I'll post what we're going to be talking about next week.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be our protocol as far as running the show, and getting out the best information that we can get. And maybe, because you know how it is with people trying to get somebody to watch an hour and 15-minute presentation, it's pretty hard to get them to do that. So if we can focus in on what today's subject's going to be and just let you rock through that thing, and with maybe a question or two here and there along the way or something like that. And
questions would be great. But I think the topic, you're right. I think next Friday will be great, because the issue of the belly fat and hip fat, especially for women, because men and women are different. So maybe the following week we can talk about women only.
I love it. That sounds so great. This is going to be so exciting, Coach. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for being willing to do this. And we're going to change people's lives with what we're doing here. And, we're in this for the long haul. And as long as we have this platform available to us, we might as well take advantage of it, right?
You got it, buddy. So you have a blessed day, and we'll see you next Friday.
Sounds good, buddy. God bless. Bye for now.